Welcome back to The Real Grind, guys. I hope you guys are having a great week. And it started the week, actually. And today we have a super special guest here. But before, Italo, remember that trip that when I bought my RV and we made it a guy's trip out of it, picking up from, was it?
Fort Myers,
Fort
right?
Myers. And
Fort
we drove
Myers.
all the way to Dallas with a bunch of guys in the RV. It was like, what's the name of that movie? The Hangover movie.
Is it? Yeah, it was basically The Hangover, but on the oversized vehicle.
Yeah.
But it was cool, man, because for me, like, being in an RV was so foreign. Because in Brazil, my experience with RVs was always like watching movies and be like, how cool that's gotta be. And you provided us with that experience. And we went through Florida, went through New Orleans. Next thing you know, we're here. Like, it didn't even feel like a trip at all. That thing was
so
amazing.
much fun, because a bunch of dudes, now when you're married and you have kids, man, you got all the priorities. You don't get to do guy stuff much, you know what I'm saying? That was actually a good trip. It was one to remember, that's for
Absolutely.
sure.
We flew in, drove back, and definitely looking forward to another one of those.
And guess what? Today's episode, we got a guy that specializes in doing RV resorts and parks. Super excited about
So basically,
this
you're telling me that there's something better than those kind of parks that we stayed at?
Yes. Hold on. We're gonna let him speak to himself, but let's get the show started.
Waking up to success, now we're getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee, the real grind. This is the real grind. Let's go.
This is The Real Grind, and today he's an investment specialist with a proven track record of success identifying undervalued niche markets. With experience in fixed and property management technology, he currently manages 50 income-producing properties in Hawaii. Man, I can't wait to talk about that as well. Generating killer cash flow in his companies. He turned thousands into millions. He's also host the High Performer podcast and founder of the Performinomics Newsletter. Welcome on the stage, Alex Alexander. Let's go. Dude, there's so much to talk about it, man. It's actually when I met you, I think I went to one of your meetup events.
That's right.
And it was so cool about, the RV stuff. But today we want to go back into the beginning and let's talk about your beginnings, man. Where are you from? And
yeah, I grew up in Midland, Texas.
All right.
So that we live in, Dallas now, Dallas, Texas. Midland is a small little dusty West Texas town, and I grew up in a trailer park out there. I went to the military, and pre-2008, I got with a team, and we were buying bulk properties from REO properties from the bank.
All right.
And so before 2008, there were these asset managers you could go, and we'd buy like 1,000 properties at a time. We'd lock them up into escrow, have our other investors come and buy them out of escrow, and then everybody gets their properties whenever it closed. And so we were doing really great with that, taking the money and doing it in Atlanta. 2008 happened. All that stopped. Just immediately. Everything stopped. It all went.
So what year did you actually start?
2005.
2005.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got like 3 years until the 2008 crash in economy.
I basically was learning the entire time until we were really, I'll tell you a story. The day Lehman Brothers closed, I was set to get my first big investment. It was $30,000. We were going to go buy 3 houses in Atlanta with it. We had a plan for it. Had, presented the performa. The investor comes in that morning. It was a Tuesday morning. And instead of giving me this $30,000 check like we planned, he sat there and cried on my beautiful Italian leather sofa in my office because he had just lost $4 million.
Oh, man. There's definitely a reason to cry.
Yeah, it was really tough on him. But, a lot of us went through that. And we just completely went to zero and to start over. And so that's what happened to me. I started over. I started a couple businesses back to back that the market changed quick on me on a couple. Some of them went okay. Some of them went terrible. I had an iPhone fixing business. And they kept coming out with newer iPhones quicker and I couldn't keep up. Just a bunch of little things like that.
Yeah.
So didn't really find good market fit for any of those businesses. And, part of my story is I wound up, after a couple of failures, living in a van, just working a regular job. I was working as a waiter, trying to make things happen and doing, my side gigs like fixing iPhones and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, living in a van, trying to make it happen is not easy. But the great thing that came out of that is I took that van and I parked it on a piece of land there in Hawaii. So I was living in Hawaii, living in a van, working at a restaurant. I go park this van on there and the guy says, I'll sell you this terrible piece of land for $200 down, $200 per month. It had trash like you wouldn't believe. Like people had lived there for 10 years and never taken the trash one time. So I bought this piece of land. I parked my van on it. I slept in the van, and I cut down trees, and I built a little house, and I dug my own septic and caught my own water. And then I started raising chickens and pigs and goats. And we even had some rabbits for a little while. And I grew close to 1,000 trees. We grew papayas all the time because, you know, inside of a papaya are like hundreds of seeds.
Yes.
And so we'd put them everywhere, and it's Hawaii.
Of course.
Everything grows.
Everything grows. You just toss stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Even you get an orange and you toss the thing, orange tree come out.
Yeah. You see a tree you like, you just break a stick off of it and put it in the ground, and you're going to grow that tree again. It's amazing. It really is an amazing place. So I bought that piece of land, and I was, you know, kind of living my Swiss Family Robinson out there in the middle of, you know, the paradise, enjoying it. And I bought the guy who sold me my land said, hey, you can buy the one next to it if you want for $400 down, $400 per month. So I bought that and sold it to the next guy for $800 down, $800 per month. So I'm basically doing like owner finance arbitrage.
Yes.
Or like a wrap, if you want to call it that. There's tons of names for all these different kind of structures or plans. And I didn't know any of that. I didn't know any of these structures. I was just making it up. I was just like, let me try to figure this out. I'd watch a video on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'd figure something out. While I'm living in the van, while I'm building my house, I'm starting to buy the next property and the next one. So before you know it, I had about 12 of those properties. And I met this fella over in at a retreat in Hawaii. And so I had just gotten a little bit of money, and it was a big, huge stretch for me, $10,000 to go to this like 4-day training, this really intense, amazing training with these top attorneys on structure and real estate structure, how to make the deals work and all that kind of stuff. So I met this fella, Brent Mott, and he was a really great guy. He came over and he actually went and hiked on the land with me, and we looked around in Hawaii, stayed there for 3 days. He actually flew over there and stayed for 3 days to look at this land with me.
What island is this?
That's on Big Island.
Big Island.
Yeah. And so he went and raised $300,000 for us, and we bought an entire city block, 36 1-acre lots. And he also raised the money for us to go get a bulldozer and an excavator and hire a crew. And I was the one with the boots on the ground hiking up there, marking where the great views were. And in 34 days, we excavated 36 lots.
Wow.
So we wound up with, it was technically $285,000 investment, $1.5 million value after 6 months.
Wow.
And so we sold those on contract for deed. So we sold them on owner payments, owner finance.
Owner finance.
Yeah, because it's on the side of a volcano.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get a piece of land and get it insured and build a house.
Yeah.
And so since you can't get insurance, you can't get a loan. And so people have a hard time. So I created this product where you can go online, you can shop on my website, just like everybody in real estate. You can shop and buy, but you can apply right there online on my website. Then you can get your contract emailed to you right there on DocuSign right there on the website, make your payment right there on the website. And then now I've tied in where you get a text message with a barcode. Say you're one of my buyers.
Yeah.
You want to make your payment. But maybe you don't have a bank account. Maybe you for whatever reason. I have a lot of people in Hawaii that just don't even have a bank account. They don't even have an email address. So they get an SMS text on their phone. It's got a barcode. They take that barcode to CVS or Walmart. They scan it, pay cash. That cash goes directly into my bank account. Wow. So whenever we were talking about like the Fintech, it's not that I develop or design or anything, but I've developed an ability to look around at these products and figure out what product we need to get into. That's like a SaaS, like a property management SaaS, long-term property management, short-term property management, investor property management. So like our investor software that we use, we didn't create, it calculates out the waterfalls. So we just put in the amount that we're distributing, it calculates it out, puts it to the K1, distributes it to the investors. Yeah, it's a high degree of automation and delegation.
One of the things that when I heard you speak, man, that, sounds like you guys I'm all about the same thing, like giving leveraging technology, but making it easier for the investor to use, man. You know what I'm saying? So you just said about text message, barcode and stuff, everything is easy. So much, especially when you're raising capital and it was like, distributions, all the documentations, making it one platform that is online and quicker to go, easy to click, easy to fund. Awesome, man. I love that about you, man. That's awesome. And so in Hawaii, dude, and so you don't live there anymore, obviously.
I don't live there anymore. I still have about 50 income producing properties that are running on autopilot. And I spend about 30 minutes per month working on those properties to make sure they stay going. And that company makes in between $20,000 and $30,000 a month. And so being able to use all this technology,
Right.
I mean, that's the kind of leverage. 30 minutes worth of work from me turns into about $20,000 to $30,000 worth of income per month out of this
passive
company.
income.
Yeah.
Amazing, dude. That's really good. So why did you choose Dallas?
Well, I met another fella at a convention,
Yeah.
and he lived in Dallas, and he was interested in RVs. So we were working together and talking here, and I was networking and I finally met my business partner, John McGaw,
Yeah.
and he's here in Dallas, and so I located here. I had come from Hawaii, like I said, and one of the main reasons to move over back to Texas is, my parents are getting older. I hadn't seen my father in many years because I was just over there in Hawaii. It's hard to get back. And so I came for a visit, and then I stayed for a month, and then I went and got my stuff and came back and moved.
All right, man. All right. So how's the coffee in Kona, dude?
Okay, so you've heard of Kona Coffee.
Yes.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they sell it for like $100 per bag, for like a pound, I think, for the really good stuff. And what's really interesting, since we're talking about real estate, let's talk about real estate. Coffee land in Hawaii is the most incredible special land. So this land has the soil, it has the rain, it has the temperature, it has the elevation to make this perfect Kona coffee. But there's a very specific small area in Kealakekua, Big Island, which is in South Kona. And so it's way out in the country. It's this beautiful area, but that was King Kamehameha's farmland where he farmed, because it's such a special place with such special environment for the food, for the plants, that's King Kamehameha's land that's been passed down, and it's now owned by the Kamehameha Schools Bishop Trust. So you can't buy this land. You can have a ground lease on it, and you can grow coffee on it, and part of the coffee goes to the Bishop Estate. Bishop Estate funds the King Kamehameha private schools. So this might seem a little bit complex, but what I'm saying is this land is so valuable, the trust won't even sell it. They'll rent it out to you for a portion of what they know you can make on it, because they know that land is so special. The coffee that comes from there is so special.
Everything in Hawaii is so special, dude. It's like it has so much stories there. But we're going to get more in depth in this conversation, because guess what time it is?
What time is it?
It's coffee time, man. Let's go.
All right.
Mr. Alex.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, man? Doing all right? Good to see you. What's going on, brother?
What up, man?
What up? Dude, hearing him talk about Kona coffee, he was telling me this about the coffee earlier. It makes me want to go to Hawaii, because I was telling him my experience with Kona coffee has never been the true experience, because we only access those type of coffee here, store-bought coffee.
Yeah.
But what he's telling right now is like mouth-watering. I was like, I want to try that coffee so bad, man, so bad.
It's funny because Hawaii, you don't think about coffee, right? But then
I never thought about it.
Yeah, but they have such a great coffee out there, man. Really good. Remember Justin bought into the show
Absolutely.
with that coffee? And it
Yes,
was
we did have a
amazing.
guest that brought one coffee, because he said they took him in the mountains, and so they made the coffee right there in front of him. They made chocolate, right? I think they made chocolate
they
too,
made chocolate
with
too
the
from
fresh
cacao.
cocoa. Yeah, that's amazing.
So whenever we all go, we'll go and we'll stay at one of the plantations where they grow.
Time out. Did you hear that? Whenever
we go.
Come on.
I love it.
Come on, man. We'll go and we'll stay at one of the plantations. They have like B&Bs on the plantation. So if you want to see it roasted, meet the people who grow it, meet the people who tend it. We can take tours all around and see the coffee, where they grow it, and how they make it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So today what I brought it's not Kona coffee, but it's a coffee that's pretty special. Actually, I want to say thank you to Ricardo. Thank you to Dani. This is from one of their friends in Boston. So this guy brings this coffee from Brazil. He roasted it in Boston, and they're super excited for us to try it. So this is going to be our first time trying this coffee. So we're going to try it together. Fair to say that you're pretty acquainted with the specialty coffee, right?
Only a little bit.
This guy lives in Kona.
What
is he talking about?
Yeah.
But we're going to try this one today, and let's give it a shot, see what this coffee is all about. I'm excited about it. Let me get this right here for you.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. And cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
It's tasting.
Tastes good to me.
You like it?
Oh, yeah.
I like it too. It's light.
It's a little bit light, yeah.
Donnie, that was pretty good actually. Because I was like, Donnie, bring this coffee. It's like, if it's not good, I'm gonna be very blunt with you and live on the show. But this is actually very good.
It's good. It's good. It's
Yeah,
one
this-
like what I like about coffee. That's what a lot of people ask me about coffee. Is like, what makes a coffee different than the other? And nowadays, well, I don't think I've ever told you this. Like, I will rate the coffee based on the time of the day that I kind of see myself drinking that coffee. So like something a little darker, that's my latte in the morning.
Yeah.
Something lighter, that's kind of what we usually drink here throughout the day. So this is something I will drink like in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is like, it's the kind of cup of coffee that you just like sip on it and enjoy it, right? It's not like you put a bunch of sugar, a bunch of milk, a bunch of that bull crap.
Absolutely.
This is just awesome, man.
Absolutely.
I give it a, not kidding you, give you like an 8.5.
Yeah. What's your score?
Oh, I got to come up with, oh, man, I'm not qualified, but I'll go with 8.5.
8.5?
Because it tastes good to me.
None of us are. We think we are. So
Yeah, we just, you know, we've been doing this long enough.
and it's tough because sometimes like if I give this guy a 10, if the next one is better, what happens?
11.
You know?
There you go.
So we just got to click climbing up. But I have a question for you because you're talking about Hawaii and all that stuff. All the tongue twisters you just said about Hawaii in there, all those words and all those things, like Hawaii you've been to Hawaii, right?
Yes.
You get on the GPS, you don't know how to get around. Because they say like the name of the road, I'm like, I'm getting lost. I'm just gonna wait for her to tell me to turn right and that's where I'm gonna turn. So question for you, what is the hardest word that you had to learn in Hawaii?
Kealakekua, which is what we were just talking about. That's the area King Kamehameha's land. But I'll tell you, I'll share something special from
Just
Hawaii.
the Kamehameha is already hard enough, right?
I'll see if I can remember how to say this correctly. I hope the Hawaiians don't trash me if I say it wrong, but it's the state motto. And it's a really beautiful phrase that King Kamehameha kind of inculcated and put into the culture there. And it's ua mau kea ia o ka'aina I kapono, which means the life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. And so if you think about that for a minute, what we were talking about before with the Kona coffee and the land,
Yeah.
their philosophy and the way that they act and the way that they live is this land, if we do what's right, this land will provide for us.
Wow.
You know, and it's perpetuated in righteousness. So the life of the land is perpetuated in us doing what is right. And so it's a really beautiful motto for the state. And,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so King Kamehameha brought that idea. And so anyway,
awesome. That's one of the things I like about Hawaii. It's the culture still lives. You know, people
Yeah.
make sure
and they try to preserve
and
that.
they preserve
dude.
that. It's like
if you meet a local and you try to do local stuff, they don't really actually like you to do local stuff. I try to do hikes in there, and there's people like I thought they were gonna just like kill me, man, because they're
yeah.
it's like, oh, this is the land, it was ancestral. So it's a lot of respect. You have to
Absolutely.
be very
And
respectful.
I love that. Gonna let you guys keep talking, but before I leave, got a little something for you here.
Wow,
So
thank you.
you can have your Kona coffee at home and all
I
that
love
stuff,
it.
you know. But
Can I show the?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah!
There you
Check
go.
it out, the real grind.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. I will let y'all keep chatting. Definitely want to hear more about the RV stuff because it amazes me.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you so much. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing a cup of coffee with us.
We took the RV and we took the Rio Grande on the road. We took our RV trip. We went
Man.
to San Antonio, Austin. It was really fun, dude.
Yeah, I love the idea. I don't know how to drive one very well. Neander can tell you that. I was scared, man. If you see the video of me driving, I'm like tight. I was tense. Like my traps were like, I was like, what's going on here? But once I got the groove of it,
Yeah.
that thing's fun, man. Well, I'll let you guys get to
All
it.
right.
Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate you.
Let's go.
Hey guys, real quick before we continue. So if you want to learn a little bit more how to get started on investing in real estate today, please go to their website, multifamilyempire.com. And if you also want to learn how to do the best cup of coffee in your own home, we're going to teach you a lot of tips and tricks. Go to multifamilyempire.com/the real grind. Let's get back to that interview.
I want to know now, how'd you get to the RV side of it? I know about the living in the van, and
Yeah.
you had the RV life right there. Betty had to leave it. I did. It was 3 weeks in Hawaii a long time ago, and we were living off of our car and the tent. So we park in places, put the tent up, live on the nature. I absolutely love it. It was definitely an awesome experience, man. Because the weather is awesome. Just like where I grew up in Brazil, in my city, like. If we never had AC in the house because we didn't need it. If it's cold, put a blanket. If it's hot, you open the window. If it's too hot, you put a fan. That's it.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
My house over there didn't have windows for 5 years. It just had screens.
Really?
We didn't need any. There was no glass. There was no need to have it.
That's
It was
awesome.
completely not needed because the windows were open all the time,
Yeah.
24 hours a day, every single
Exactly.
day.
And then I breezed. Man, I love it. Actually, I do miss Hawaii. Now we're talking about it. I was like, man, I got to go back in there. Just do one of those things. Bring my daughters. And it was great. But talk to me about the RV. How'd you get started in that?
So I used to say that I owned the only RV park in Hawaii because I own the land. I sell it on payments, so they pay me every month. But I own the land, and they own what's above the land. I don't own what's above the land, and they don't own the land. And so it's the same thing as an RV park. I own the land, you come and you rent it from me, and I don't own what's above the land, so I'm not responsible for it.
Sure.
Because it's their trailer they're bringing.
It's
Or they're-
mobile.
It's mobile.
It's getting in there.
That's right. That's right. And so I came over here and I was really watching the different markets. I wanted to get into something new. I had my portfolio pretty dialed in over there in Hawaii, and I wanted to expand into commercial properties. And I looked at storage and multi and senior, all the big, what we kind of consider like the brass rings that everybody, it's a well-worn path.
Yes.
Everybody knows how to do that. And there's a lot of sources to go get the information to learn how to do that. Well, in all of my searching, I stumbled across RV park investing. And I
what year was
realized that was in 21.
Okay. The holy grail of the RVs, right?
Yeah. Well, that's right. And I started realizing right away, I said, well, wait a minute. This is a similar income every month per unit, but it costs about a third to buy it or build it. And so same income costs about a third. That means more profit.
Operations too is a lot less.
The operations is a lot less. We actually do more resort properties like you were saying.
Yeah.
So we spend more on operations, but actually less because it's centralized. We use centralized management to do the property management, one company. And then on site, there's no money changing hands. The manager is more like a host, like a cruise director. And they're like, making sure everybody's getting their campfire going, pointing directions, chit-chatting, getting to know everybody, social. That's more of the way that we do our parks instead of having what a lot of folks have right now is the really, really old school way of doing it. A website with nothing but a picture of the sign of the in front of the RV park with a phone number, and that's it. And you got to call them, and maybe somebody will call you back, or maybe there's an email. It's really hard to book. So we took it and did that same thing I did in Hawaii, was taking really high quality SaaS software and offering it to what's considered like the lower part of the economy. Really cheap land, give them really high good service. Really cheap hospitality, give them really high service. And this way I can charge more for people to come and stay at our place. And so we give them online booking, dynamic pricing, yield management, property management, revenue management, all baked into our software. And that's run by our property management company, which is, we call it third party in-house. And that's Stephanie Culver. She has Buzzworthy Property Management. Yeah, really great company.
And it's like a lot of places that it probably like hidden gem, but you don't know that. And it's a little bit off like for some of the resorts. But like you said, they have very limited information, very limited pictures. And me as an RV user, it's tough, man. But sometimes I've, took a leap of faith by reading a lot of blogs and people that recommend it. But if you go to their website just by searching, it looks like crap.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like, what is to expect? But, for me especially, I've been some very luxurious RV resorts, and man, like they even show the spot that you're gonna get, like a picture and everything, and like all the amenities and stuff. The best resort I ever stayed was in the Key West. Oh my God, man! They were privately owned, but they are a management company that rent it out throughout the year when the owners are not using it. They had, so you park it in on the back, not just it faces the ocean, right? It backs to the ocean, but has like a full outdoor cabana style with stainless steel appliances, kitchen and everything. Holy cow, man. That was amazing.
Yeah.
It was not cheap, but I read it, to stay in a nice place that they have a lot of the information, convenience and stuff. So it's awesome, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, what's great gaining popularity right now is people realize I can go stay. I don't have to get a 6-month contract or even a month contract. I can rent it by the day and go stay at someplace really fabulous like you were just talking about. Just fantastic views right on the ocean. And I pay a lot this month. And then next month, 2 or 3 months, I go stay at a place maybe in Colorado that's more off in the woods and costs way, way less because I'm a remote worker. That's what's going through the roof. 400% increase since before COVID of a remote work.
Yeah.
And so people are realizing I don't have to live where it's hot or cold and where there's not the activities that I want to do. I can go work in Colorado, Florida,
Absolutely.
New York. If I need to be in New York, I can be anywhere, and people are really taking advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the downsides when I started it, that the internet sucks, right? You have to get the mobile hotspots, and then, but now with the SpaceX, the Tesla, was the name of that? Is it SpaceX? The
Starlink.
Starlink.
Yeah.
That thing is awesome.
Yeah. So
I have it on. I barely use it because I don't use Marvia a lot, but I pay for that crap every month. But it's awesome, dude. It's great.
Yeah.
You know, when it works, like, you know, so it's getting more and more friendly for people to go travel, work remotely, because, you know, if you work remotely, obviously you're going to need a solid internet, right? And that thing is satellite. You can be in a desert, dude. Pump a generator, boom, you got a full-blown high-speed internet streaming and stuff. If you're going to do gaming, hold on, you can game on that thing, man. It's really great. Cool, man.
So my business partner, he has a history in IT. And so he has a plan of how we hook up 2 different Starlinks and run them through. He explains it, but it might be a trade secret. I don't know. Maybe he's got a special thing. But it's a way that they never lose internet, and we could be able to broadcast for the entire park. So all of our parks that's one of the things we advertise, fastest internet. Because the 2 things that people ask for is shade and internet.
Yeah.
And so we provide premium spots with more shade, and we also provide the best internet. And we advertise it. Best internet on the lake, usually, like our property at Lake Fork.
Yeah.
We have a 20-acre property. We're building 87 units on that 20 acres. And here's something really interesting. We bought this piece of land. We knew it was a hot spot. We knew there was a lot of development going on in that area. And then now that we've closed on the land and we're about to start construction, we just got the approval for the loan. It's a $3.2 million construction loan. As soon as we got all this going and really got it locked in, we found out that across the street, the Sabine River Authority, which is the people that handle the river, the management organization, the municipality, they're building it's the same thing as a state park. It's Big Camey State Park, Big Camey Bay State Park, and it's going to be a fishing park. So they have 6 lanes, 6 boat ramps going in. They have 120 long parking spaces, the long ones for your boat and your trailer. And so they have this set up for the fishing tournament. It's because Lake Fork has about 60 fishing tournaments per year.
60.
And during these fishing tournaments, they give away $200,000 at each tournament.
Wow.
And more. They give away a boat. Some of them give away 2 boats, F-250. They're giving away trucks, you know. So these fishing tournaments are no small event.
Get started on those competitions.
Yeah, exactly.
You were like fishing, man.
Still fishing a lot. Like Lake Fork, for me, Lake Fork was like, if you made it on the fishing world, you're fishing at Lake Fork, because that place is amazing. That's where you're gonna get the biggest fish in Texas and all that stuff. So that's like the playground.
It's because it's probably not is a natural lake, right? It's not man-made.
No, it's a man-made lake, and they stocked it. They stocked it a lot. And that's why, and so whenever they flooded it, they left all the trees.
Yeah.
And so there are all the roots and and that's where the bass go and hide and get bigger. Yeah. Because there's plenty of place for them to hide and live and thrive, I guess. But anyway, they have the big 14 of the top trophy bass in Texas came from Lake Fork.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's like that every year because it's just amazing. So the traffic there for these tournaments is humongous. Now, right now, it's spread out throughout the entire lake. And you know how big lakes are. It could take half an hour to an hour and a half to get from one part to the other part, even in your boat if you're going or driving.
Yeah.
So now they have a centralized place, 8,000 square foot pavilion, all the boat ramps, the big area to host the big events and the weigh-ins.
All that stuff.
It's beautiful. It's 1,000 acres.
Wow.
They've built this huge, huge state park. I keep calling it a state park. Technically, it's not, but it's pretty close. And the interesting thing about this park is it's about a half a mile away from our property, which means that everybody going in and out is driving past Big Bass.
Spot.
Exactly. Big Bass RV resort with boat storage. Yeah. So Big Bass RV with boat storage.
It's like, when they have the resort there by the F1, they're going to have the Formula 1.
Mm-hmm.
the RV park that's close by, man, they're golden. That's
Yeah.
awesome, dude.
Yeah, and I learned that in Vegas too, because part of what we were doing was selling hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And so we used to buy hotel rooms a year before a convention. And so whenever there's a convention coming to town, you got like 60,000 people flooding into town on the same weekend. Well, there's about 60,000, at that time, there were about 60,000 rooms in Las Vegas. So that means that everybody's sold out, and dynamic pricing pushes the price up. So we would buy it a year early at, say, $150 per room night. And then a year later, whenever it's close to the convention, we sell it for like $400 per room night.
Wow.
So I started to learn how dynamic pricing can dramatically increase your profits.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's what we really focus on our properties, is we're real heavy on that software part, because it's all the algorithms that figure out when we should be raising our prices. For example, at 50% occupancy, we raise our rates 10% per 10% occupancy. So that means, and it compounds. Right. So that means by doing what we do, going in and buying an RV park that's long-term, making it short-term, and then raising the NOI, using that NOI to base a construction loan on the other side, we can 4X a property. So we find a property, and I've got a real specific, awesome buy box that is very specific, so much that I can teach it to somebody in about a day. Less than that, about an hour, I can teach somebody how to go find this buy box. And so we were actually kind of doing that, working with a lot of people, teaching them, and eventually people wanted to pay us to teach them. So now I'm teaching a course on how to do what we do already. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we put a link down in the description for your course?
Yeah,
absolutely. So
yeah, I'll send you a link so that you can actually book a call with me, and we'll talk about if it's a right fit for you. I only take 10 students at a time because I work personally with them, because I'm going to teach them how to go do this. And then if they don't have the resources to raise the capital, have a 506c attorney that's going to go to the SEC and file their blue sky filings for them and organize the entire thing and know what LLC is a member of what other LLC, that's what we do. So we come and we hold their hand and have a done with you system, so that instead of developing an acquisitions team that I've been working on for a while by teaching people and then hiring them to work for us, I allow people to come and learn, and then they can go off and do it themselves, or they can come and team up with us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's awesome.
So that's put the deal flow kind of through the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're getting in front of a lot of investors right now, some institutional, a lot of high net worth individuals, and they're really excited about the same thing that you guys know in real estate, moving out of stocks or different kinds of assets and getting the depreciation and the appreciation. So you're beating the tax man, and you're beating your dollar getting just like whittled away through inflation. And so we really love that about real estate. And one of the things I talk about is we're technically in real estate, but really this is a private equity company. We're buying businesses that have a real estate component.
Yes.
So yeah. So we go into that company and we put it on our platform, which is the online booking, dynamic pricing, yield management, revenue management, property management, and all of these standard operating procedures turn around the RV park and raise.
So you more focused on developing or buying existings, or both?
Both. What we have right now are 2 development deals, and what we've decided is we're only going to do 1 development deal at a time, just because the amount of capital and energy and time that it takes.
Sure.
But the cash flow ones, it's value add. So part of my buy box, and this is kind of some of the secret sauce, but I'll let it out for your people only. What we do is we find places that we can double the size of. So about 20, 30 years ago, a ton of what are now boomers, during that time, they were younger and they were coming into some money. Maybe they're in the middle of their career, and they bought 20 acres, say. And they said, you know what, we can get this 20-acre spot, and we can only afford to build out half of it right now, so we'll build the rest in 5, 10 years, whatever. They build half, they start renting it out, and RV parks make pretty good money, and you don't have to work very hard at it. And so they go a couple of years, they make $150,000 a year, and then they're like, why would we go to the trouble of twice the amount of management? And so they've been running it for 20 years with half built. And so it's, for some reason, there are a ton of that product out there. So I've taught people how to go find the specific ones and the specific strategy to buy them, increase the NOI, use the NOI to get a construction loan on the second half, build the second half, and you've quadrupled the value of a park in about a year or 2.
Wow, that's amazing, incredible. And what about RV storage? I tell you what, because I love that business model. By the way, they are, and I'll that's why I went to one of our events because I truly want to learn more about it. I want to probably invest first, but I'd love to get into that because I'm a user. Come on,
Yeah.
I'm passionate about this. Um, but I also like about the RV parking because I know how much I freaking pay for that stupid thing to park in there, and they had a waiting list, right? So first of all, I had one in Louisville, and so when I converted my RV, this one is bigger, it wouldn't fit. So I was like, can I upgrade my? No, we don't have any spots, and we're booked out for whatever. And then I had to go all the way to Plano to storage there, and I paid $340 a month. And the process was this, just like you're saying. I went online, booked it, spoke to a person. They gave me a spot number and a gate code. That's it. I never saw anybody in there. They have a station that you can empty your tanks or refuel, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like operations must be like really, really low. And I was making a math, like how many RVs are parked in there, man. So you guys have storages too, or is it something you don't? What's your take on that?
We have boat storage. My take on that is it really depends on the area and the spot because it could be a really great almost amenity to draw people in there to have that. But whenever it comes down to the numbers, my fiduciary responsibility to our investors is to make them a good profit.
Absolutely.
And per unit, per space, per square foot or acre, however you want to look at it, the numbers just come out to be more for hospitality than storage.
Absolutely. No,
So
I believe that.
yeah, but I think it's also important to look at a project and say, like the one that we have right now at Lake Fork, it already had 32 boat storages now, and they're the biggest ones in the area, and they were way under market. So technically, we could make more money probably from taking down that storage and putting in more RV spaces. We'd have to figure out if we could fit them in whenever it comes to septic and setbacks and all those other kind of things. But just technically, if we wanted to do that, but that's such a good amenity because number one, we have the biggest on the lake. So that's something we can advertise. We have the biggest boat storages on the lake, and we've been pushing the price up every month. Nobody's moving out. We're 100% occupied, and we get calls all the time for people to move in. So that's an amenity for our RV park to keep it there. It's a draw. It's something that gets people in there.
I saw it at Catherine's Landing down in the border, Texas and Arkansas, I think. And it's a nice resort by the river, but they have like kind of far away this boat storage and RV storage too. And I was like, there's the first one I seen it. They have their resort, which is a really nice resort, but they also have the boat storage there too. So I guess it'd be kind of similar.
Mm-hmm. So whenever it comes to storage, like we were saying, that's an amenity or an addition or something like that. What's really interesting about RV parks is they have the most amount of ancillary revenue sources you can think of, like kayaks, life vests, fishing poles, golf cart rental, firewood, all the different little things, even like the specialty toilet paper that you use in an RV because, the specialty ones. You run out of it. And I mean, you don't want to go get the regular toilet paper. You might mess up your sewer system and your thing. So you have those special, or your little sewer pipe might break or whatever. And you have all those specialty items right there in the little camp store. And the amount of ancillary revenue is completely unmatched in another asset class. Like storage, that you can sell like locks and boxes and maybe rental trucks or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's some there. It just doesn't stack up to the amount in an RV park.
Yeah, I mentioned that it's just because I saw it was just I was like, man, we could just buy ourselves and just make it boat storage for passive income. Because I look at the operations, like we're in a multifamily and we know the operations behind and what you have to do to keep a business running, which I love those ideas, by the way, to have a campfire. Because you're saying all this stuff, like I'm a freaking user, man. I buy all that shit. Like I go to the RV parks and my kids like, let's do a fire. Daddy is like, yeah, let's go buy some wood. And then we go to that little store, man. It's like a funnel.
Yeah.
They buy everything you don't need. Like, oh, a fishing pole. Yeah, I'll buy a fishing pole for this trip. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's so fun. Here's the other thing I love about the industry, and this is why I really love being in it, is you go into, say, multifamily. You buy $20 million building, and you have a real responsibility to increase the revenue. That's the whole point of this, is what we're doing. We work for the investors to make them a profit and improve their retirement, And so you go into a multifamily and you've bought wrong or built wrong. So say the market changes, and instead of a bunch of studios, now all of a sudden it'd be better to have a bunch of 2-2s or 3-2s.
Yep.
But you've messed up and you built all studios and you can't get them full, and your occupancy is low and you can't make your payments, and you're having a problem. Say you did that in RV parks. You think it's going to be a gorgeous place, resort, so you overbuild it, and then the economy shifts and you can't get enough people in there to keep it full. I don't have to go and like remodel a bunch of multifamily units into a different size to fit the market. I can go on our software and simply make a quick change, and now instead of long-term, we have short-term. Now instead of premium, we can drop our rates, rise our rates. We don't have to wait 6 months for somebody else's lease to finish. Right. We can drop and rise our rates per day as it fits the economy, the travel that's happening at the time, how much traffic is going past. All of that is figured out in the AI and computed and calculated in to give us the right price.
Do you guys have a big budget for marketing? Is that part?
Yes. We spend significant amounts on marketing.
Good.
And that's been a big part of our play, because the initial marketing gets it full right off the bat. Yeah. And being full right off the bat is the next round of marketing, the word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, right, we were talking about, like, you can go online and change, a few of the aspects of the pricing and all that, because you own the land. What's at above, you can easily change.
That's right. That's right. There's nothing to catch on fire. There's hardly anything for a hurricane to knock over.
Catch a fire is the firewood catching fire and then burns the slab foundation.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Dude, I love that. But this is the part that the audience gonna know a little bit more about you, Alex. This is the Spilling the Beans with Alex. Let's go. You ready?
Man, you're getting me nervous now. I thought I was ready.
All right. What would you rather, camping on a beach or camping on a mountain?
Mountain.
Hawaiian guy.
Yeah.
A motorhome or RV trailer?
Motorhome. Motor coach.
Motor coach.
Oh, yeah.
Should it be diesel or a trailer?
Yeah.
Baseball or football?
Football.
All right.
I like football. I didn't watch TV for 10 years, so I completely lost sports. And but I love watching a game. I just don't know who any of the players are.
Fireplace or fire pit?
Ooh, fire pit. Yeah, nice smoky fire pit.
You take a shower, go to fire pit, and then you smoked.
Yeah.
Savings or credit cards?
Savings.
All right. Flip-flop or sneakers?
I'm a sneaker guy. I like to be able to move. And I think it's rude to show your toes.
Really?
No, I'm just joking.
You're totally screwed. Eggs or pancakes?
Oh, eggs for sure. Give me the savory with the salt.
Okay, Kona or Maui?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Both are beautiful. I'm going to have to pick Maui.
All right. Colombian coffee or Kona coffee?
Oh, man. I don't want to offend my host. Let's go with Colombian coffee.
Y'all are Brazil. I should have said Brazilian coffee.
You should say Brazilian.
That completes the Spilling the Beans with Alex. Colombian coffee is definitely more known than Brazil, but Brazil's coming out. I don't know if you know, but we own a small coffee farm in Brazil.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so we just, it's love it, man. The coffee is super a passion, and I'm so glad and proud that I was able to pass that along to Ítalo. Now he became this coffee expert guru. He ruined his life, ruined my life too, and he's a monster.
So y'all got the invitation to go with me to Hawaii to go see that coffee. So
hey, I would like that.
When are we going to Brazil to taste some coffee?
Let's go, man. Hey, Ítalo goes every week to Brazil. I'm just kidding. But he goes a lot to Brazil. I try to go once a month. How to get to our farm is like really up in the mountains too.
Love it.
So it takes me almost 24 hours to get there when I leave, right? I mean, I keep stopping because I have little children, so they can't do it all. Fly, car, like, yeah.
Wow.
But it's great. It's beautiful. Waterfalls, very similar to Hawaii, but without the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Brother, I want to ask you, if you look at that camera over there, what would you give yourself an advice back in the days from the mistakes. So if you could talk to yourself back then, what would you tell them?
I would tell myself, you're going to figure it out, so don't quit. You never have before. And look at how it turned out so far. I think that would be it.
That's it, man. That's powerful. I asked that question to a lot of people that sometimes I mentor and they talk to me. Is like, talk to yourself back then. I can tell them like what you have today. Would you believe it? A lot of us don't. I wouldn't.
I can share something about that.
Let's go.
Like I said, I was living in a van. Things were not going well for me. And it took me a while to start making all these changes of mindset. I just kind of fallen a couple of failures in a row. It's kind of challenging. It's tough to come back from. Not only logistically, just with even money, but mentally, emotionally, all this kind of stuff. And I just really started working hard on myself. And I wrote a letter. I took this course, and they said, write a letter to yourself a year from now. And you a year from now is writing to yourself now. Yeah. And so it's your future self writing to yourself now a love letter. And so I took 2 days, like all day, every day, and wrote this love letter. And I read it every day for a year. And everything that I put in there about how things were going to be came exactly the same. One of the things I wrote that I read every single day was, you're going to be in rooms that right now you can't even believe that you would be meeting these people or be in these rooms. And that's my life now. Every single week I'm in these rooms with people and I'm like, this person is so successful. They've done so well. I do not deserve to be in the room. If you compared our two successes and achievements, I don't deserve to be in the room with them. But somehow through this visioning of looking in the future, knowing what it's going to be like, and then just taking steps towards that has brought me into these rooms so much that we were on a phone call last month with Senator Joe Manchin. Wow. And this is it just has changed. And we're kind of getting into the mentoring part like you were talking about. This has changed, my identity. It changes who you are because the things you do, that's how you spend your time. That's who you are. Yeah. So you start changing these things. You can't start changing your mind with your mind. Start changing your mind with your body, with the things you do in the space, in the world. So you got to change the things you're doing in the world to change your mind, to change your identity. And so I started doing that. I started thinking my identity, just like in Atomic Habits, James Clear's book, he says, your identity, it makes it easy for you to do the things that you need to do because this is what this kind of person does. I'm a fit person. That's my identity. That's my mindset. A fit person walks. A fit person lifts their weights. A fit person watches what they eat. And so that identity, it becomes easy because my identity as a fit person just clues me in on exactly what to do. I don't have to choose. I don't have to figure out, should I get this cake? No, I'm a fit person. That's my identity. Same thing with you can change your identity to I'm a hard worker, a good learner, a good husband, a good member of my church. You can change your identity to whatever you want. This doesn't have to be about money and success and all these things that we chase. This can be like being a good father, And so the identity is a really key component there.
Absolutely. I love that, man. Thank you so much for sharing. Thanks so much for being here, dude. It's very inspirational and see where you come and love to learn from you and get connected with you, man.
Thank you for having me. This has been really good. Brother. I really appreciate it. Let's go.
That's awesome. And this is the Real Grind. Appreciate it. Thank you so much we just want to thank all of our sponsors. I want to thank Grand Empire for being a sponsor. Grand Empire is a landscape company to take care of your property, to get the fresh, clean cut for your customers. And let's go.
And as always, thank you so much for watching or listening to the Real Grind podcast. We're on YouTube, Facebook, all your favorite podcast platforms. So make sure you follow us everywhere because either way, you're never going to miss an episode. Make sure you give that like button a little thumbs up. Always supports us as well. Give us a follow on Instagram. Perhaps this thing's going to flip as you're watching it right now. So again, thank you so much. If you love coffee, if you love RV, this is an episode of a kind. This is one of a kind. I freaking love those two things that we're just talking about. And this is what we're all about. Sharing amazing things, amazing stories. Alex, thank you so much for coming. And as always, This is the real grind. Let's go.
Waking up to success. Now we getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee. The real grind. This is the real grind. Let's go.